Hey everybody, Gromos here with another Warthunder video. So, this is going to be a short and experimental one. In the comment section of last week's P-51 video, Posthume Caver asked if I can explain the fight versus the LA-7 a bit more with some diagrams. And as a response, I threatened to unleash my horrible paint skills upon you. I was not sure if I should really go that far, but then I figured threats are less effective in the future if you don't make good on them, so I decided to do it anyway. Well, jokes aside, Posthume Caver's request gave me the idea of trying a new kind of video, a sort of extra video that explains fights in the main video a bit more detailed. I don't want to do that during the main videos, since they are supposed to show cool air combat, and if I have to stop the video in the middle of a fight, that would just have a negative influence on the flow of the video. But I realize that sometimes it might be hard to really follow what happened. So I want to see if it is helpful if I explain the fight a bit better in an extra video. This is a pilot episode, so to speak, where I test if this is viable, if it helps people and if there is interest in it. So let's take a closer look at the P-51 vs LA-7 from last week's video. I will pause the video a few times to explain things in a bit more detail. Well then, here we go. We start at the point where the LA-7 is following my P-51 and I am about to turn around to start the fight. As you know, I like to initiate the fight in a situation like this with a split S and a high speed dive. Before I start the split S, I already had the nose pointed down a bit to build up a bit of speed. I want to get to a very high speed in a dive fast, so I can initiate a very high G pull-out. A lot of planes like the 109 will have trouble following the pull-out at this speed should they choose to follow me in the dive, because at this speed they would break their wings. The LA-7 of course is not a bad diver as well, so he follows with a split S of his own. So the LA-7 follows me in the dive and I get ready to pull into him in a high G move. Here I want to stop the video for a bit, because here we have an important little part of this maneuver that I think is hard to see in the video. Before I pull into the LA, I roll my plane a bit to the side, so that when I pull up, I pass not directly in front of him, in which case he would only need to press the trigger to hit me. If you roll just a bit to the side before you do the pull-out, your opponent will have to adjust his fire, and he has to do so very fast, as he will come closer extremely fast in his dive. This also answers another question that may come up at this point. Can you do this pull-out into the opponent move without the dive in a horizontal chase? The answer is usually no. In the horizontal, you and your opponent will be a lot slower, giving the plane behind you a lot more time to adjust his shot. The higher speed is especially helpful to most US fighters. While they are not the best turners around, few planes can pull out of a high-speed dive as sharply as a P-51 or P-47. Well, let's move on. We are rolled to the side a bit and are pulling into our opponent. Now, I let the video run for just a second before I stop it again, because we are coming up on the next important part right away. So, we pull up into the LA-7, which is trying to get a shot on us, and we are about to pass each other. Let's take a look about what may happen if we just keep pulling into the LA like that. We are offset to the side a bit because of the little roll we did, so the LA can't get the shot and we just shoot past each other. Now, the situation we would find us in would be, we have the nose pointed straight up and now on low speed, and our belly is pointed toward the LA-7. Well, that's an improvement on having the LA-7 behind us, but it's still not great. If I want to go after the LA now, I either have to press the nose down with negative Gs, or roll around before I can give chase. Both options cost a lot of time and give the LA more than enough opportunity to take countermeasures. We could just keep climbing, but the LA-7 has energy from his dive and could go after us, so that would most likely end up in a similar stalemate than we started out with. So that's why we want to do an additional step before we pass the LA-7 to get into a better position. What we want to do is, again, roll the aircraft while pulling up and pitch a little bit into the direction the LA-7 will move after our flight passes cross. This way we will already point more or less in the correct position to give chase, and our canopy is now facing the LA-7 below us, which means we can pull positive G's to go right after it, which is a lot faster. So let's take a look. As you can see, after we pass the LA-7, our canopy is pointing at the LA-7 below us, and we fly in a similar direction than he is. From this position we can get behind him with a few barrel rolls, especially since he is a bit faster than us because he was diving while we were climbing. So after a few rolls we can get on his tail and he dives away. Now the P-51 is of course a great diver, so eventually we could catch up to him. He pulls up into a loop though, and that shows something I mentioned at the start of the fight. If you pull into an opponent like that and you don't roll, you pull straight into his gun sights. And with the not that impressive speeds from the shallow dive, in comparison to diving straight down, there is a lot of time to line up the shot. Now I snap rolled and used that to go into a split S and pull into the LA-7. He meanwhile came around in a high yo-yo and then also did a split S to dive down on me, and here we stop the video again. We are in a similar position than the first time. Again, if we just keep pulling into him, we end up with the nose pointing up and above him in a position from which it would be difficult to attack the LA-7. So again, the trick is to judge the opponent's flight paths and maneuver the plane in such a way, using roll and pitch, that we are in a good position to keep pressuring the opponent when he passes us. So, simplified in a 2D plane, I pull up and he's coming down in a split S. I guess he's trying to get the nose around enough to get a shot, but instead of doing the same, I already work on positioning the plane in such a way that I can go right after him when his flight path crosses mine. This is often a good option in fights when you encounter scissor-like situations like this, where two planes are about to cross each other's flight paths. Most people will try as hard as they can to get the nose around enough to fire while passing, even if that is unlikely to happen. If you don't do that and instead use the time to already start maneuvering for when you have passed each other, you can get the upper hand in the fight this way. So let's roll the video again. And as you can see, pretty much as soon as the LA-7 flies by me, I am on his tail, because I did not wait for him to pass me to turn after him, but instead started the maneuver while he was still in front of me. Well, you know the rest of the fight from the main video. So, that was a bit of a more detailed analysis of the P-51 vs LA-7 fight. Let me know if you want to see stuff like that in the future again. And this is it for this video. I hope it was informative, thanks for watching, and maybe I'll see you next time.